compelling story follows a young woman's journey of redemption through faith and community after straying from the path of righteousness. Rediscover her purpose and meaning in life. Available now on popular online book sites. Don't miss out on The Church Girl, a transformative tale resonating with the power of faith and self-discovery.
And let me hold you close. I'll dry your tears this day. Let me comfort you.
Thank you for tuning in. A live stream new episode of the Stephanie M. Seaton Sunday Show will be starting soon. With your host, minister, and author Stephanie M. Seaton.
Hello, and welcome to another edition of the Stephanie M. Seaton Sunday Show. I am so glad you were able to join us tonight. Tonight, we have a new guest in the house. I shouldn't say in the house. It's not technically in the house, but you know what I mean, right? But tonight we have Miss Janice Wheelwright-Griffin. She is an amazing woman of God, a business woman, and she is over 30 years in the financial game. She is going to educate us tonight, remind some, but educate probably most on finances. So welcome, Miss Janice, to the platform. We can't hear you.
Let's see.
There you go. Now I hear you.
Perfect. Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
Yes, ma'am. Very happy to have you. You are the CEO of RichHer Systems, and you've got so much more going on, as we saw in the promotional video. One of the first things that I do with all of the guests, it's kind of become like a tradition. The first question is, tell us, who is Janice?
Well, Janice is a wife, mom, I'm a career woman, and I'm a child of God. I strongly rely on my faith um, to help me navigate all of those roles and all of those duties. But born in Georgia, got to Texas as soon as I could. As everyone says, I am a true Georgia peach,
Okay.
and just loving the Lord. And my biggest passion, of course, is women,
Yeah.
especially women of God, because I really truly believe that the hand that rocks the cradle rules the world. And I definitely believe that we have a definite role and a definite position to play in God's plan for the
Yeah.
kingdom.
I love that. I love everybody, but women are my passion as well. And so we definitely, and it's kind of funny in a sense because that's where we met. We met at a women's conference. I have attended, I think, 2 or 3 events now at Fallbrook Church, which is in Houston. And the past event that I went to, I was one of the educational vendors there and got to meet Miss Janice. And so we had a few moments to kind of chat. And I was like, okay, we got to talk to you. And so I'm really happy that we were able to follow up and able to make this happen tonight. Okay, Miss Janice, this is, I know 1 hour is not going to be enough, but I know that you're going to give us so many tips tonight that will help us. But before we get into the financial and the business side of it, I want to get to know you, the woman. So tell us a little bit about your family and your faith.
So I one of 6 children. There's 5 girls and 1 boy. And I am married, have 2 children, boy, girl. And I think for me, in terms of faith, I experienced financial instability
Okay.
as a young girl at the age of 14 when my parents divorced.
Okay.
And that instability really led me to many things. Number one, it led me to really seek the knowledge of God, because we weren't exactly a church going family. We're very familiar with church. We certainly weren't the Easter, Christmas,
Right,
Mother's Day
right. Yes, ma'am.
enough. And but what I'm really seeking was that really personal relationship with God. And I think that what that did is that parented me and that guided me while my parents were going through their distraction of divorce.
Yeah.
And so that instability led me not only to rely on my faith, but definitely sought, as I decided on what my path would be, that I wanted
Mhm.
that type of stability in my life and in my
Right.
family. So that was very paramount to me in terms of how I would conduct not only myself but actually conduct my family. So I was just very, I would ravish almost every book I could about family lifestyles, about Christian lifestyles. I studied, with Joyce Meyer, and I
Yeah.
went not only just in the faith realm, but also in the secular realm. I would
Okay.
listen to Dr. Fresh. She talked about, on the radio. We'll go back to radio and cassette tapes,
Oh
and
yeah. Cassette tapes. Yes,
I
yes.
had constantly something playing in my ear, because again,
Yeah.
I desired to have that not stability, but I felt like with it was the only, what I felt the only concrete plan that I felt
Mm,
like was a no fail, was a fail safe environment.
I get it.
Um,
Yeah.
that's what I really leaned on.
Yeah. Something to look forward to. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Very good. Okay. And so faith wise, that kind of ties into it. So it sounds like you've been on this faith walk for a long time. even knowing at, a younger age that, you had to have faith that your situation later would be different. So kind of tell me a little bit about how did you, when did you decide to become a financial coach? And then how did that kind of lead you into just a life coach? Because I know you do finances, but you also overall are a life coach as well. So how did you decide to go that route?
To work study programs in high school. Back then we called it VOE. And of course, that's when they do office education, when they go to school half a day and actually work the other half of the day. And so after that, after graduating high school, I went to the Bradford School of Business. For those Houstonites, you might have remembered that commercial on the radio. She's a Bradford grad. And I knew that into those big buildings downtown, and I actually landed a job at a bank, and I was a secretary. And so back then I was typing up bond proposals, and being a very curious person, I was like, so what are we doing for? And they were like, well, after the bonds, they make a bid on the bonds, they go upstairs and they're sold. And I was like, so what's upstairs? And so that's when they came upstairs, and that's where the ticker tape was going around the room, and the currency traders were yelling and all. And I was like, I got there. That's where I need to be.
Yeah. I like that.
Absolutely. So I worked my way, and I actually worked my way up from the secretarial pool to being a sales associate and getting licensed and supporting brokers in their roles as they were handling their clients' book of business. So I just sat there as a sponge and absorbed it all and just began to really learn. And what I thought from that, again, because I had such that need for stability, having instability, I was like, well, if you have money, you'll have no problems. Of course, and that mindset, that was the mindset that I had. And as I further progressed in my career, as I was assisting clients with their accounts and things of that nature, I found that in many times in situations, people knew they needed the money piece, but there were so many obstacles that went in front of the piece. And that's where the life and the financial coaching began.
Okay. I was listening to what you said. You said you were absorbing like a sponge. As you said that, I thought to myself, I have to bring it back to Jesus. Okay. But as you were talking, I was like thinking to myself, the Lord will allow people to come into our lives to help get us to rooms, to tables, to places that we never imagined. And, when we get to those places that we never imagined, that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to absorb it, and just take it all in and learn everything you can. Because what I've learned, and you can tell me if this is true for you, Miss Janice, but most of the time when these opportunities have came, it's been within a short period of time that I had to do that he had exposed me to. And so that's what was coming to my mind as you were saying that. I thought, wow, the Lord puts you in, he does it for everybody. He puts you in those sponge situations where he's like, you're going to be over here soon, so pay attention. You're going to need to know this. And so, so that worked. Yeah, that worked well for you.
Not only was that true for me, but many times when I was in that room, it was a male-dominated room with people who did not look. So what happened that industry? And so, but believe it or not, so many people would say to me, "There's something about you, and I'd like to help you." And I took advantage of the. Amen.
Yeah, praise the Lord. He knows how to open those doors. That's all I can say. And if we sat and thought too long, we talk ourselves out of it. But he can do it so well, right? He can do it so well. How important is faith when you're faced with life's challenges? How important would you say that faith is?
Well, I think the thing about developing your faith, which is why thing about my business, it's called RichHer Systems. And the reason it's called is so that you become RichHer in faith, family, and finances. So
Yes.
as we go through this walk, you'll find that the richness develops as he continues to prove himself to you.
Yeah.
Because as we go through these faith battles and faith walks, the great thing about it, what I love about God is when he reveals to us his workings and what he's doing for us and on our behalf, he
Mm-hmm.
never punishes or chastises us as long as we have that small faith as a mustard seed, because we do go through challenges to where we have doubts and we have fears and we have things that we have to overcome. But if we step backwards and look at what he has already provided and the things he's already proven to us,
Yes.
it's
Yes.
that faith, and it allows us to go through the next faith journey. So that's
Yeah.
the one I honestly say, and I believe that's why too, as I can say, as I'm approaching what they would call that seasoned saint level.
Yes, ma'am. I like that. I like that.
Yes, I call myself an elder, but I definitely see the seasoning of the saint.
The seasoning of the saints. All right. Yeah.
Delivered on those promises,
Mm-hmm.
and the older are supposed to teach the younger. We
That's
are
right.
supposed to
Yeah.
train and let them know what we have been brought from. And just to circle back, when I was talking about how I continue to excel in my career, I want to
Mm-hmm.
make mention that was without a college degree.
Mm.
To get my college degree until 2008.
Wow.
And
Look at God.
and the reason I went back to get it, because my son was slowly approaching graduation of high school, and I wanted to have it prior to his graduation. And
Okay.
everybody, why do you need a degree? You're doing so well, and this, that, and the other. But it was leaning on that faith in God telling me, this is what I want you to do. This is what you should be
Yeah.
doing. And
Yeah.
I believe that what God does with that faith, if we just listen to the leanings,
Right.
will. And a lot of times the great thing about it, the umbrella typically comes prior to the rain.
Ooh, I like that.
Yes, ma'am.
Listen to the, what did you say? Listening to the leanings. What did you say?
Leaning into that faith, because again, the umbrella comes
Um,
prior to the rain.
I love that. I'm one of these people. I like phrases, Miss Janice. I love phrases. I like that. Oh, I like it. Catchphrases. It's kind of like, something that you can say in a moment where you need encouragement. You just give yourself a pep talk real quick. Like, wait a minute. So I really like when you can get a catchphrase, because sometimes you just can't think. You get in some situations where you feel overwhelmed, but you can get you a catchphrase and just bring yourself back in real quick. I love that. I love that. I want to ask you, and this is something most women, we try to do work, we try to balance home. We have so many things going on. And even, we're talking about work, we're talking about home. And then that's not to even mention ourselves as a woman. We wear so many hats. Why do you think it is, or what are your thoughts about women and a work-life balance? What are your thoughts about that?
I use the term work-life balance because it's something that gives us a familiarity, but it really is about harmony,
Okay.
and a harmony of all of those roles. Because I think and especially in this environment when we're dealing with um, lack of DE&I and things of that nature, and microaggressions at work, and
Mm.
as in of color experience, they're typically the workhorse. They're the ones that's doing 2 and 3 positions at the same time at their job, training
Hi.
their man, training their
Yeah. Yeah.
And so and what happens is and we've been taught, unfortunately, we've come up in an era where we were taught to code switch and show up and be strong and not reveal our true authentic self and who we are.
Yeah.
So what happens a lot of times with women is we've participated so much in the lie identity, we forget who our true identity.
Ooh, you did it again. You did it again.
I have a
Lie
lot of
identity and forget our identity. Ooh, I like that. Lie identity, identity. Wow. Listen,
and
Miss Janice, we have a conference. My platform, my nonprofit called Diamonds in the Rough. We have a conference coming up, and it's right along with what you just said. The conference is called Hiding Behind the Lipstick. And what you just said, that lie identity and yes, that's what it's about. We are forced, and like you said, we're not able to reveal who we really are. We put on that lipstick, we put on that mascara, those lashes, the wig, whatever we put on, and we take on a whole different personality or identity or lie identity to
Right.
be who we feel like we need to be in the moment. And at the end of the day, we're broken. And we're having these one-on-ones with Jesus or either by ourselves or letting the enemy talk to us. And yeah. So
again, so that's the work role. Then we have
yeah.
the home where we are challenged to be superwoman and many church, superwoman to the family. And we feel like that breakdowns are not an option for us. We feel like because we're raised as a Christian, we always believe we're always waiting on the breakthrough, not the break. And what happens a lot of times is because we will not allow ourselves to build back up after breakdown, many struggle to get to the breakthrough. And so what we do is we just process through, and we're
Yeah.
constantly moving along, pushing it down, pushing it down. And so when you ask a woman who she is, she'll tell you what she does.
Right. Yeah.
Because
I
again,
know.
and then another thing that I have to say about my dear sweet sisters, especially my sisters of color, is that we will only give ourselves a badge of honor as we measure it by our struggling. Oh, girl, you got that. Let me tell you about my problems. Let me tell you what I got going on. And so
Yeah.
we measure ourselves by how much burden we can put on ourselves.
Yeah. That's sad. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It's very sad.
We need to know how to, number one, rely back on God, because God says his burden is easy, his yoke is light.
Right. Right.
So again, we're processing through, but we need to know how to process it through. We need to know how it's designed, how are we wired? Because a lot of people sign up, like I often, when I'm dealing with women and we're talking about these work-life balance systems and everything, they'll show me the 5 journals that they've purchased that's supposed to help them get there. Their 5 or 6 different planners that they bought to help them with time management and all this. They got a lot of tools in there, and nothing's wrong with conferences, and nothing's wrong. But again, if it's not speaking exactly to where you are and who you are, those tools will not be helpful to you, because again, it's not getting to the root.
There you go.
I call it,
it's that root word.
so I call it a GPS system, and that's the God planning system.
Okay.
And when we find out where you are, because again, remember, there's 2 things about a GPS.
Yeah.
A GPS, 2 things to be successful for you. It has to know where you are and where you're trying to go.
True. Yeah,
And
I like that.
things, it can't help. And the great thing about God, by putting him into the program of the GPS, when we make a misstep or a mistake, you know that sweet little says recalculate.
Reroute. Yeah, recalculating, rerouting. I love it. I love it. Yeah.
That he can correct those.
Yeah.
And so that's making our crooked places straight is something that's done. And again, that adds back to the faith, that add back testimony, and it gives us courage to face new routes, new journeys, new destinations, because we can see the past history of the trips that we've taken and how we've been delivered to our final destination.
Yes. Yeah. I love it. I just love talking to you, Miss Janice. And now you got these catchphrases. So listen, I just want to hear you talk. Okay, so let's dig into it. So CEO of RichHer Systems, LLC. Tell me, I know that you already had a finance background. Kind of tell me, what was the moment that made you decide, okay, it's time for me to do more. It's time for me to really, get this moving. What was that moment?
Well, that moment was, so I was working with individuals that were state employees. I was, educating them and financially advising them on their retirement plans and things of that nature. And it was, my manager was actually traveling with me. And he said to me, after about the fourth appointment we had that day, he said, "Why do these people always tell you all of their business?"
Yeah.
And, because he's thinking I'm supposed to be talking about their investments and
Right.
things of that nature. And what I was explaining to him, and I would see these individuals at least every, 2 or 3 times a quarter, things of that nature. And I was explaining to him, I said, what you don't understand, because they're in the, this is their life, and every decision is tied to $1.
Yes.
And if I can help them with decisions, I can help them with those dollars.
Right. It's a bigger picture.
So many times I'd be dealing with an individual that's saying, how am I going to help send my kid to college? And I'm struggling with my own student loan debt. How do I save for retirement? And so they had all these questions and all of these processes. And I was telling them, I was like, you know what? And I knew that, especially for women of faith, family legacy is so important.
Mm-hmm.
Have legacy if we can't balance the checkbook that we have right now.
You're right.
So it all tied into each other. I could not separate it. And so when as I was meeting with them, and so they kept saying, so how can I meet with you outside of here? Because they wanted more. It was they needed more than that 45-minute appointment I was offering them. And so them, and I would consult with them, and then they would say, well, you got to meet with my friend, you got to meet with my sister, you got to meet with, and I was doing all these meetings, and they were like, you got to be charging for this. And at the time, when you hold a securities license, there are certain things you can do and you cannot do, and you can't have certain outside businesses. So there were all these regulations, tied around. And the thing about, and as I was going through the journey, they were getting to the point, the company was saying, we're now getting to the point where we only want you to meet with people who have money.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Because a month contribution means something to her.
Yeah.
I told her that I would help her with a strategy. And so I was like, you know what? I've got to do something on my own. So my day gig, I'm at a local community college here where I work with students, faculty, and staff on their personal finances. So I'm a financial coach by day and by night.
Yeah.
So what that led me to also do, it gave me the expansion, and what I'm able to do in my own practice is I can put that faith piece in, whereas, and because I really truly believe there's no way to separate it, because the Bible says
Right.
God gives power to get wealth.
That's right.
And
Yeah.
and so you cannot separate that. So when I'm dealing with a woman of color and she's saying to me, how am I able to make it? And I explain to them, I can not only just show you that, but also I'm living proof. You cannot put my life on paper and have the results that I have had.
Yeah.
With
Supernatural.
God.
Yeah.
And if I can show you how to stretch your faith and
Mhm.
put spiritual with the practical and the tactical, you can
Yeah.
have success. Because I am not special.
Yeah. The Lord
I'm
is no respecter of persons. Yeah.
absolutely right.
Yeah. 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 I truly believe in your situation and just many situations, the Lord uses us as vessels to show just it's really to remind us. I think it's a reminder that of what he can do, because he says in his word what he can do, but sometimes we need to physically see it. We need to see him physically manifest blessings in people's lives, just to remind us, of what he can do, especially like you were saying, when we see things that there's no way in the natural. It had to be a supernatural favor of God for that situation to happen. It just reminds us of who he is. And so, well, I'm so happy that he blessed you with this knowledge and this ability, because it's a blessing to all of us for you to be able to be a financial coach and a life coach, helping to build the kingdom, and expressing, how the Lord loves us, not just in natural means, but how he wants us to be blessed financially as well, so that we can, give back and be a blessing to the kingdom and to other people. So I think that's amazing. I think it kind of goes back to, I was going to ask you, why do people need coaches? But it's kind of the reality of it. There's so much information that we don't know, and like you were saying, it's things that you may think are simple or common, but if nobody's ever expressed it, explained it, or you've never heard it, then that's why it's very important to not only have life coaches, but to have financial coaches. What are your thoughts about that?
Absolutely. Well, my coaching program, Systems, is not just the name of my business. It's also the
Mhm.
foundation acronym. And it
Okay.
actually stands strategize your spiritual growth, your time, your
Mhm.
energy, money, and your self-care.
Okay, I like that. Okay.
So through a process of saying, okay, let's figure out how we're actually going to get there. Because again, all those things, and again, and a lot of that, if you can see how that builds on the identity, because you think about
Mhm.
it, it says we are uniquely and wonderfully made,
Yeah. Yeah.
or systems that are not made for us. So you
Right.
can, for a coaching program, or like for someone says, well, all you need is a budget. But if someone doesn't understand your money traumas, your money
Yeah.
dilemma,
Yeah.
your money, and them
Yeah.
saying, okay, well, buy this program and do this spreadsheet and you should be fine. No, it's not like that. You need
Yeah.
individualized coaching. I liken it to as much like going to the doctor,
Yeah.
is saying, hey, doc, I don't have time for this appointment. I know you just met with the front of me. Just give me whatever you gave them.
Right. That's not gonna work.
That's not
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
So it is a customized individual approach. And I think another thing too, and one of the reasons that I have a lot of empathy for, is money's a very shaming topic. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know what? I
The
have
lack
this
thereof. Yeah.
I have this many degrees. I'm a superstar in this area. I don't want anyone to know I'm failing in that area.
Yeah. Yeah.
I look the part. I should be the part.
Right. Yeah.
And we don't want to admit what we don't know.
Right. Yeah. That's a big one. That's a big one. Yeah,
So
that's a
again,
big one.
individualized commitment, yourself, where you can say, well, you know what, I know this, and I've had some people tell me, well, you know what, it kind of sounds like some of this stuff is common sense. And I said, okay, so let me ask you this. How much of this common sense were you able to utilize in your personal finances?
Right.
And I said, and then again, and we're at that stage and age, especially like I said, when you get a little seasoning on you. If you're anywhere past 30,
I'm past it. quite a bit past it.
meaning you don't know how long you have to work.
Yeah.
You don't know what income's going to be in front of you. We've really got to get to the point where you don't have time to Google it.
Yeah.
You don't have the time to recover from another financial mistake.
Yeah.
So now when I say every decision is attached to $1, and they need to be the decisions based off what you want to do. Because again, some people are very comfortable with debt and they can handle debt management. Some people want absolutely no debt. Again, it's all about figuring out what it is you want. Because again, the desires of your heart. But the Bible also says this: you should seek wise counsel.
Counsel, yeah.
So if it's an area you're struggling with, get the wise counsel so that you can excel in that area, and then you go be a genius in some other area.
That's right. I like that. For those of you that are watching, if you have any questions, we do have an open platform. If you want to ask any questions that you have during this time, feel free to comment your questions and we'll try to get those answered for you. We have Miss Janice here tonight, and she has a well of knowledge in finances, also insurance agent, and then certified retirement counselor, excuse me. So if you guys have any questions, please go ahead and send those questions in. We'll try to get those answered. What do you say to someone that is going to retire, say, in the next 4 to 5 years? Well, let me ask you this before I say that. How soon, when someone thinks of retiring, should they start actually making the preparations? Like that, should that have been something they started 10 years ago, within the year? Like, what would you suggest for that, for planning for retirement?
I would say this: to really, the first paycheck on your job, you should have been planning for, so it's never too early.
Yeah.
But also this, it's also never too late.
Yeah.
And there's certain things you can make upon your exit strategy that'll make retirement comfortable. And so, and I get it to where a lot of people are saying, well, you know what? I really have focused on my retirement age, and I try to focus on the retirement wage. What money
wage and not the age.
What are we working? Because we're working with certain money, what decisions do we need to make about our medical care coverage, about where we're going to live, how we're going to live? Again, so I take, and believe it or not, a lot of people, when they go through a coaching program, they're like, do I really have to fill out all this questionnaire? Do you really need to know all this information? And I tell them, I said, we spend more time planning a vacation to plan our retirement, to figure out what it is that we're going to do. And then along the way, who's going to inherit the house? What are we going to do about wills? What are we going to, all the nuts and bolts, and all of that strategy goes into that. And because here's the thing, it's a living, breathing document that you should be working on every single year. Because again, if you think about this, If you do a 5-year look back, think about all the major changes that have happened to you in your life.
Yeah.
That you really should have adjusted your financial strategy.
Oh, yeah. 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 Lots of unexpected stuff. Yeah.
COVID alone,
Yeah.
how that in and of itself changed the way we did business, changed the way jobs were formed, changed the way some people thought of terms of length of employment that they're going to work. And again, like I said, when you're trying to decide how long you're going to work, we also have to take into account sometimes that may be of your choice and sometimes it may not be of your choice, whether
Mhm.
that's your health failing or that of having to take care of parents or other individuals. Again, all those things need to be put into the sauce so that there can be flexibility so that you can handle life on life's terms. Because as the kids say, be life.
Happy life. And I knew you were going to say that. That was so appropriate. Yes, ma'am. Life be life. And we had Candy Usher in the house, and she says, "Hey, hello, Miss Candy. How are you? Do we have any questions?" I just listen. Miss Janice is here with so much knowledge and information. I just know somebody's got some questions. We need more information. But if not,
I get from time to time, like people, and believe it or not, that's why a
yeah.
lot of people are subject to scams, because what happens is we get in a panic mode. People ask me,
Mm,
what do you think about Bitcoin? And I tell them, well, there's a reason why I didn't buy it on Bitcoin.
yeah.
And the reason I on it is because I didn't understand it.
Yeah,
And
it's
I don't
weird.
anything I don't understand. And again,
Yeah.
if I was in my 20s or 30s and my runway was a lot longer, where I could take a financial loss in the event that something like that happened, I'm at the
Yeah.
point I need to be sure of the buckets that I have created and where they're going toward and how they're going to work for me.
Right.
So
Right.
again, sometimes, and people often ask me a lot of times about different financial products like reverse mortgages and
Hmm.
um, the other thing. Understand this: many times there are not bad financial products as much as
Hmm.
there are bad uses of financial products, and
Bad
us not
use. Yeah.
understanding them.
Yeah.
And by understanding them, we sometimes fall um, into financial trouble. For instance, I had one client who, at the time we were refinancing homes, she did a refi and was able to pull money out of her home, and she got into an adjustable mortgage. It just created a bigger financial burden. But I can put two clients side by side, one where
Yeah.
refinancing home ended up being a good option for that person because they
Right.
understand the product and its use, and for
Yeah.
another person it is a nightmare.
Yeah. You got to have the knowledge, right?
Have to have the knowledge. Again,
Yeah.
that wise counsel.
Hmm. Yeah. Let us know booking information. I know that you do small group coaching, and then you do one-on-one coaching. So if someone is interested in having you at a conference, a seminar, church, how would they get in contact with you? Can you give us your contact information or what
Absolutely.
platforms you're on as well?
So I'm on Facebook and Instagram. Now I will tell you, I am that. Again, this is where that seasoning comes in. I,
Okay.
I'm newly on Instagram,
Okay.
Facebook, but you can reach me at RichHer, and that's RichHer systems.com to do any booking. So for my small groups, and I often say, anywhere between 5 to 8 women, I like to call them personal wealth parties. And I spell that Pursenal because we are going to be talking about the purse. And
Okay.
we'll go different things. And again, a lot of times what I do with my clients is I take them through free coaching tools and things that they can use on their own. Because the thing is this, I want you to have an education, not a dependency upon someone, not even a
Mm,
dependency upon me. I want
okay.
you to have education. And that's why I tell everyone, you need to have a financial wellness checkup as much as you do any of your other checkups.
Mm,
And I know
okay.
that for us, because we're not ones that go to the doctor.
Right. Yeah.
And like you, many people go see the doctor in crisis, people come to see me in crisis.
Yeah.
And then and not to, but I backtrack and try to explain to them, if you had done this versus that, I want you to see how the outcome could be different.
Be different. Yeah.
So education, not only because of that situation, but also to let them know many times most things cannot be so much corrected as much as they are straightened out.
So,
And
okay.
from where right now. And that's the most important part you need to know, is that things can get better.
Mhm.
I often say, everyone often likes to quote Maya Angelou and say, when we know better, we do better. And,
Right. Right.
and I have a lot of Janicisms, and the longer we'll walk in our friendship, Stephanie, the more you hear more of them. But one of
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
is when you know better, you have an opportunity to do better. It doesn't
Yeah.
mean that we always do better.
Yeah. You have the Ooh, I like that. Yes. You have the opportunity. You're right. It doesn't mean you're going to do better, but you do have the opportunity. I was thinking, financial literacy is being proactive instead of reactive. And so
Correct.
we need to learn to be proactive, in our finances instead of panic mode and being reactive after something happens. So yeah, very good, very good.
That another thing I often like to point individuals to too is that a lot of times people are like, "Well, just send me information, and I'm going to read up on this." And I have to tell them, we still have to go back to that GPS system, because
Yeah,
again, there's a universe of financial literacy and financial products and things, and they all might not apply to you. So
right.
I don't study long and study wrong. I want
Yeah,
information and the knowledge that's going to be beneficial to you, beneficial
customer.
to a customized approach to this. Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. I like that. You have given us some really good nuggets tonight, Miss Janice, and I definitely think that this is a conversation that we'll probably have to have again, just to kind of extend it a little bit, because this is a universal topic, and we may have to talk maybe about doing a coaching seminar or something to that effect, because this is a big deal, as people approach retirement, as people get started, in their careers, just starting to think about money way earlier than probably what most of us have. So, thank you so much.
Well, and I saw the family portion of that business as well. Like I said, my son is 30, my daughter's 25. And so
Okay.
we're in conversations. As I said, I'm newly on Instagram, and so what I coach families on, because sometimes I'll have a husband approach me that says, how do I get my wife on the same financial page I'm on, or vice versa? So
Hmm.
there
Hmm.
to that. But in addition to that, there's also a family approach with adult children. I coach families and adult children, because what I explain to them is, as I've explained to my children, they're in the position now to help me build the wealth they would like to inherit.
Whoa, I like that, because
So
yeah, that's
here's the
real.
if they don't know how to manage it, they will
Yeah.
lose it, put it in their hands.
Mm-mm-mm.
And
That's real talk. Yeah, that is so real, Miss Janice. Wow.
that's why we lose Big
Yeah.
Mama's,
Yeah.
because we didn't know how to properly set it up to where and that's why, you have 5 people inherited, only 2 people want to pay the taxes. And
Mm,
we don't have the conversations prior to then. So
yeah.
that family, faith, finances, because again, those should be conversations, because at the dinner table with my children, when they were very small, because again, like I said, I've been in the game a long time. I told them, this is how much the mortgage is. This is how much we're spending. This is where we are. And they would say, but
Mm-hmm.
Mom, you would take us to Chuck E. Cheese this weekend. And I said, I did. And I was going to take you until you lost that back, until I found that food in the trash. And because they know that their consequences have a cost associated to them, because the family has to be financially well.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. My son thinks that we're rich. He said that we're celebrities. I took him to 1 or 2 events, Arthur events, and he says we're rich and the paparazzi's after us. He took a couple pictures, Miss Janice, on the carpet. And he said the paparazzi's after us, and I have to bring him down. We are not there yet. Yeah, he thinks we can just buy whatever, whenever, and I'm like, not we. No, calm down, bring it back. But yeah, I think I probably need to start telling him some numbers, because yeah, I like what you just said. I think he needs to know. I like what you just said about what you were telling your kids. Yeah.
Think about it as well. If we don't teach them how to take care of the money and where the money, how are they going to make decisions? Us, because again, the family conversation that continues. So there's never an end to it. So you have to know what it is that we're actually providing. And I see Marcus here.
Yeah, he said, you guys are rich on the inside, where it all begins. Thank you, Marcus. Yes, I'm rich on the inside. And Miss Janice is rich on the inside too. Yes. I'm not going to speak that I'm not rich. You know what? I take that back. I cancel that in the name of Jesus. Yes, I am rich. Yes. Hey, Miss Janice.
That story of the talents. And that's and the thing, because again, we're supposed to be stewards of those talents.
Yeah.
The person who managed talent the best was the one that was rewarded the best.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, we're not going to tell Isaiah we're rich.
Well, when our kids said, yo, we rich, my husband, we used to always say, no, me and your mama doing all right. Y'all ain't got nothing.
Yes. Listen, Miss Janice, it has been amazing talking to you tonight. I look forward to many more collaborations and conversations. Thank you for being on the platform tonight. We're coming to a close, but I want you to leave a final thought. What would be your final thought tonight to the women concerning, and to the men as well, concerning finances? If you had one tip to leave them tonight, what would that one tip be?
Favorite tip. This is my Janiceism. Never spend pennies where you should have spent dollars, and never spend dollars where you should have spent pennies.
Oh, wait a minute. You got to say that again. Oh my gosh. I love it. Okay. Say it again slowly.
Never spend pennies where you should have spent dollars, and never spend dollars where you should have spent pennies.
And that's not just money right there. That is time. That is energy. That is everything, Miss Janice. I love that, because I have looked back on some penny moments and lost some dollars.
Absolutely. And I think and sometimes we have cheated ourselves where we should have or invested in our businesses, and we tried to cheat ourselves. And it has cost us so much in time, money, and effort.
Yes, Marcus is laughing at us, Miss Janice. But I tell you what, this has been amazing. We will definitely have to get together and do something else with this. If you are looking to find out more information about anything financial, Miss Janice has over 30 years in financial education. She's worked with the banks, she's worked with insurance companies, she's worked with retirement plans. So she is very well educated in finances. She does group. Small group coaching as well as one-on-one conferences, whatever you've got going on where you have an opportunity for financial literacy. Look up Miss Janice Wheelwright-Griffin. She's on Facebook. She's new to Instagram. She's still figuring it out, but listen, hit her up. She'll check those messages and she will get in touch with you, and you guys can work together and get something going. Thank you, Miss Janice. I appreciate you so much. You hang tight right there, Miss Janice. I'm going to close out the show, but you hang tight. Thank you so much. And we will be back on Thursday night with another amazing episode of the Stephanie M. Seaton Sunday Show, where we will have another amazing guest sharing information from her platform. And so definitely tune in on Thursday night at 7:40-ish, so that we can let you know what's going on. The goal here is to not only support businesses, people that have businesses tied to the kingdom, or people that understand the importance of what the Lord has put in their hands, the opportunities that he's blessed them with, but to educate. And so I love it when we have guests on here like Miss Janice tonight, where it's an opportunity to educate us, to inform us of things that maybe we don't hear about all the time. And so that is the goal, that is the passion, to get our stories out there. And so again, thank you, Miss Janice, and we're out. Have a good night.
If you would like to be a guest on the Stephanie M. Seaton Sunday Show, email Stephanie at stephaniemseatontheauthor@gmail.com.